If you're like me, you enjoy a good meal. It's good to sit down with family, friends, and just eat together, enjoy good conversation. Well, the Bible often uses that illustration of a meal or a supper to get an important point across. And in fact, in Revelation chapter 19, there are two suppers that are talked about, two meals. The first one is in verse 9, and it describes a remarkable time. It says, "Blessed are those who are called to the marriage supper of the Lamb." What an awesome occasion that will be when God's people will finally be a part of the kingdom of God, and they'll be able to share a meal with Jesus Christ and with God the Father. That imagery is just amazing and just sets a remarkable tone for everything that will come after that. And yet, a couple of verses later, in verse 17, a second supper is described. And at the return of Christ, it says this. It says, "I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the birds that fly in the midst of heaven." It says, "Come and gather for the supper of the great God." So you have the marriage supper of the Lamb, and then you have the supper of the great God described. Now that's not something any of us want a part of. It says, "You may come and eat the flesh of kings." Here God is talking to the birds in a sense and says, "Eat the flesh of mighty men, the flesh of horses, and those who sit on them, the flesh of all people," it describes, both small and great. These are people that have rebelled against God, that will not change, that will not accept God's will in their life. And so it's a reminder for us, a stark reminder for us. Which supper do you want to be a part of? If we want to be a part of the marriage supper of the Lamb, what it describes in verse 9, it tells us a chapter later that we have to be one who overcomes. Revelation 21:7 says, "He who overcomes shall inherit all things." So that's our goal. Let's make sure we're making the choice for the right supper every day of our life. That's BT Daily. We'll see you next time.